his faith and accepting Islam, if someone accepts Islam, he becomes a Muslim. That's it. He is a Muslim. That's okay. Now, after accepting, the faith, you should worship Allah. And when we talk about, worshiping Allah, we have different kinds of worshiping. But the most important one of them is, the prayer. Like praying, 5 times, every day. And if you cannot stand, you can do it while you are sitting. Suppose that someone is in the hospital and he's in his bed, still he can do it while he's in his bed. And now there is no exemption, from the prayer, except for females after, giving birth, or if they have their monthly cycle, they are exempted from a prayer. Otherwise, you have to pray. There is no exemption. What about if you are in the aeroplane? Usually they ask me, some people traveling, you can do it while you are sitting, because if you don't have a place to stand. What about the direction? Now we face, like Mecca direction of the prayer, but in the plane, you can, wherever, the plane is directing, you can offer your prayer. So like Islam is flexible, if you notice. So it is not like you should do it. You should stop the aeroplane and go down. No. It's very easy. So fear Allah and obey Him as much as you can. And this is the beauty of Islam. Allah doesn't want things to be difficult on you. So what He orders us to do, these prayers and other teachings, actually they are not difficult. If someone wants to say they are difficult, of course he has the right, but actually they are not difficult. And if you cannot do something, immediately you are exempted. We'll come, to fasting. Someone, who is, old, cannot, fast, like, from the morning to the evening, he is exempted from it. So after testifying, or that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is His messenger, you should start, your prayer. And there are 5 daily prayers. At dawn, the first one, at noon. Nowadays we pray it at 1:30, and the mid-afternoon, let us say. What's going on with this one? Oh. And sunset, we have the sunset. Friday is the main day, if you know, a Friday. So after tomorrow, instead of having the noon prayer, like what we have now, similar to what we have, very close with some, slight differences, we'll have a sermon and we'll pray, 2 units. This is, the official day for Muslims, which is a Friday. So back home, it is the day off. The weekend is a Friday, usually. Thursday and a Friday, or a Friday and Saturday. Different, Muslim countries have it. But a Friday is a day off. Going back to the faith, articles of faith. So we talked about Allah. Any question about it, or is it clear what I explained? After that, angels. Angels, I forget a point. Angels are created by God, by Allah. So they are separated from Him. Can God, or does God, come in the image of an angel, or an angel comes in the image of God? Of course, no. They are separated. So the idea of Trinity and the Holy Spirit and whatever, totally wrong, according to our faith. So God doesn't, take the shape or the image of an angel. And an angel, he is separated from God. God doesn't look like His creatures. His messengers, we do believe in all messengers and the prophets. Those who received, books, and those who don't receive or did not, receive books, including Noah, including Adam, including Moses, Prophet, Jesus. Prophet Muhammad is the last one. Peace be upon them all of them. All of them came with the same message. No one of them invited anybody to worship Him. All of them came with the same message, that all people, you are created by God, worship Him. This is my message. How? I will teach you how. But the main idea, the core idea, worship the one who created you. Don't worship me. Don't worship your father or your chief of a tribe or whatever, the one who created. Neither your parents, neither your friend, nobody, but Allah the one. Because the only one who deserves to be worshipped is Allah. Why should I worship, my father? Yes, he did, a favor for me, my mother, I respect them, I love them, I have to pay back. But do they receive, the highest state of love, which is worshiping, God, worshiping them? Of course, no. Even Prophet Muhammad, we love him, and you are not a believer unless you love him before, everything in your life, your cousin, of course, Allah first and after. But you don't reach that point that Muhammad has to be worshipped. Now, what was the habit of some Sahaba in the beginning when they accepted Islam? They wanted to stand up when the Prophet enters the mosque or the room. And he refused. He said, don't stand for me. like, non-Arabs. It was the habit of, Persian, kings and, Romans. He said, don't stand for me. So standing, a kind of worship, we do it only for Allah in our prayer. Prostrating for someone as a kind of worship, it is only for God. Bowing down for someone, it is only for Allah. The one, because He is the only one who deserves. All of other people are in need for Allah. All of other people, they cannot benefit themselves sometimes. Like the doctor who helps you sometimes he cannot, help himself. He needs a police to protect him. He needs someone to teach his kids. He needs someone to make, his food for him. So all human beings who can offer something for you, they are in need for someone. But Allah is the absolute. He is the self-sufficient, doesn't need to anyone. He helps you every second in your life, right? Your heart, are beating, your lungs, whatever, He is helping you every second. Even your cells, of these, what they are discovering, these chemicals in the nerves and whatever, everything is controlled by God, and He is helping you. So the only one to be worshipped, the only one who deserves to be worshipped, is Allah. I'm not talking about respect. You respect a lot of people around you, but worshipping only Allah. So all the prophets came with the same message. All the prophets, including Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, including Musa, including Jesus, peace be upon them all. Many prophets and messengers. The number now, there are some narrations like 120,000. Allah sent messengers and the prophets. Around that number we have, but we don't know the names, all of them, all of their names. What is mentioned in the Quran are 25 prophets are mentioned in the Quran, including John, which is in Arabic Yahya the Baptist. He is also a prophet. Divine books, all the prophets or some prophets came with some books, what we call them messengers. So messengers, those who came, with books. And we do believe in these books. Prophet Abraham received, a book. Prophet Musa received a book. Jesus received, a book. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ received a book. But what happened to these books? Except the Quran, they were, altered or changed. This is what we believe, that they were changed. So when children of Israel corrupted their book and did not, follow the teachings of Musa, Allah sent Isa to them to correct their mistake and to bring them back to the path or the straight path of God. Now, after some years, the followers of Jesus, corrupted their religion. So God, sent Muhammad to correct, their mistake. Now, after some years, some people will corrupt, but the Quran will be reserved because no prophets, and anyone can complain at the day of judgment, and has, proof or something. Oh God, I did not, find the truth. No, the truth is here, and it is the Quran, and it will never be corrupted. So no one will have an excuse that, oh God, it was, the message was not clear for me. No, it was clear. And nowadays, in every language, we have translations for the Quran. So the message itself is the main message of Prophet Muhammad. His book is not corrupted. And it is kept, and it must be reserved and preserved in the original text, in the Arabic text. Up to now, the same text that was revealed, a long time ago, it is here in Arabic language. From right to left, by the way. From right to left, Semitic language. It is here. Other copies, but it is the same. So you open this page or this page, it is the same. You go to this one, you go to China, you go to India, you go to, one time in Jordan, someone donated a lot of, Qurans, and it was missing, some like, what we call them, not, letter, the way you pronounce a letter. We have diacritics, if you are familiar with linguistics. Anyhow, immediately, sheikhs, they checked it and they say, this is not accurate. Immediately the government, took it out, and it is the duty of them. So immediately these, ideas, exactly, the Quran that we have. No one, has the right to add or to delete something. So the message is reserved. So for all the humanities. And if one accepts Islam, has to memorize something. The basics. At least the first, chapter of the Quran, because you have to recite it in your prayer. And it will be very easy for those who are, I guess you memorized it last week, over the last couple of weeks, you memorized it, I help him, and we have transliteration, and it was perfect. I'm trying, with my wife, she memorized, some parts, but still, she's learning these things. Let me talk about the Quran, because it is included here, The Quran, if we want to identify Quran or give the definition of the Quran, we say it is the real speech of Allah, the real speech of Allah that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam through the archangel Jibreel, which was transmitted to us generation after generation or via generations. And that starts with Al-Fatiha, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and it ends with An-Nas. 114 chapters, the beginning and the end chapters. Actually, the numbers are not included in the beginning. But those people, put just numbers, make some decorations if you notice outside and these things. But the text itself, it is preserved. Some people nowadays, they put, colors like, be careful of this letter should be pronounced this way and that's it. But the same, writing, graphic of the Quran. So the Quran was transferred to us generation after generation. Prophet Muhammad, he did not teach one person. He taught, generation of people, not just one, two, hundreds of people, they were in front of him. And they took it directly from his mouth. And also, another step, they wrote it down under his direct supervision. He elected, some of his companions, and he asked them, to write it down in front of him, in his presence. So this is not like other books or these things. So it was transferred to us in two ways, orally and also in scriptures. Also it was. Now, how many people memorize it, from heart to heart from the beginning? A lot at the time of Prophet Muhammad, hundreds. And they taught, the second generation, thousands, second generation, hundreds of thousands. Nowadays, we have more than 1 million memorizing the Quran from cover to cover completely, including my 2 sisters, my 7 cousins, including me, myself, from cover to cover. So when I go to a website, any YouTube or anything, and I hear any, for example, ICNWA, this is a website, for example, and it has many reciters who recite in the Quran. ICNWA. It would be a good experience if you want to see, different reciters, to hear, different voices with different styles. But is it the same,
I thought you were saying Islam and, like, way.
Not away, way. Islam way. And how articles. Where is the Quran? Oh, they updated the website. I'm not familiar with the English one. Let me go to the Arabic one. This is Arabic, if you notice, Islam way, but in Arabic. So they have, a lot of reciters, like more than 300 reciters, what they have in their fatwa, on their, website. I go to any of them, and I click at any of these chapters. You have 114 chapters, and I listen to it. It is the same chapter that I memorized already, and I teach. And my sister, in Kuwait is memorizing the same chapter, and Muslims in Europe also the same. The original text, I'm not talking about the translation, the original text. You never find, an accurate book in the world, that has this accuracy. You never, I challenge, you find, a book that is memorized by heart, completely from cover to cover by hundreds of more than 1 million, and it is written, and it is the same book, different publications, the same, verses. You never, find it, like a miracle. This is the miracle of Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet Muhammad. So the Quran is the main miracle of Prophet Muhammad. Like here, we have reciters in Arabic. All of those are reciters. Every one of them has, recited the Quran completely. You go to more reciters, for example, and by names if you want, their names here. Some of them I don't know, from Algeria, some from Tunisia, from Turkey, from whatever. But if I, click at anyone like Muhammad Abdul Karim, this is from Sudan, it is mentioned here, Sudan. And he recites, any chapter that I know, it is exactly the chapter that I... Now when I lead the prayer here, sometimes we have some brothers who memorize Quran by cover, from cover to cover. We have now 2 in the community. If I commit a mistake in my recitation, immediately they should correct me. Immediately, this is their duty, like they should, correct, to keep the accuracy. And no one has, where are his recitations, this guy?
Have you ever recited the whole thing at once?
Every month, almost, I read it completely.
How long does that take you?
I sit every day, and it will take, like half an hour every day.
Oh, okay.
For a whole month.
Okay.
Like 15 hours. And where is Brother Tono? Is he here? Brother Tono, he helps me from Indonesia. He reads Arabic. So when I recite by heart to keep, to refresh, my memory. So he checks, my recitation almost every day. If he doesn't come, I'll do it myself or I do it at home. So brother, I'm trying to encourage the other brothers, to make like, a studying, class or something, but he doesn't come. This is one of my reciters. Anyhow, you can go to the YouTube and you'll find the same recitations that I have, that every Muslim have it. Where is it? Tilawata here. This is one of those reciters. Takes long time. Anyhow, the idea that the Quran is reserved in Arabic language, no changing, nothing. Now, what about the translations? I got, here a translation. Usual translations that we have the Arabic, text to the right, and we have, the translation of the meaning. And of course, the understanding or the words that are used, different, from, a translation to others. So, but the Arabic text is the same. These numbers, they were added later on. I'm talking about the text. And they put, these diacritics or, features, linguistic, features to help people, pronounce them the correct, way. So this is the English translation. Come on, anyhow. It doesn't, come here. Sorry for this. Anyhow, you can Google it, or ICNWA, you take your time and you check, those reciters. Like, for example, let us go to YouTube. It is the easiest way. YouTube. Google and YouTube, the most important things now in our life. Subhanallah. Whatever you want, you find it, either good or bad. Or good or bad. Of course you are. Some people like, this reciter because he reads, very slowly. Some others, they like others because he has, a deep voice and they feel, more, affection, affected, by the recitation. I like that, so every reciter, has his own, And there is no problem, like you should, follow the reciter that I like, or you should, whatever, your reciter like.
Did you say you were on ICNWA?
No, I put on YouTube now.
Oh, okay. How many hits do you have?
No, because YouTube is very, what you call it, ICNWA is very slow. I'm not sure, is it my computer or whatever? Anyhow, so you can, find a lot of recitations here. This is, became, very famous. This is Mecca, for example. This is, Mecca.
Do you have to be a Muslim to enter Mecca?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Mecca. It is like this sacred, place.
Right.
But here in the mosque, it's fine.
Is there any way that they make for sure?
Now, for example, you are a Muslim and you have, a non-Muslim name. Like, if you go there, there are, checkpoints before you enter. And they will not, allow you to get there. But if you have a certificate of Islam from the mosque, you'll tell them that I accepted Islam and this is a certificate of a mosque. They understand that. They will, allow you to go there. Why? Because it is teaching of the Quran. It should be, be pure. Like a pure, place, or just, for Muslims. And now, what's going on with the computer is very slow. Anyhow, this is a recitation. Now he is reciting the same chapter that I recited in the prayer. The same recitation that I prayed just now, before a few minutes. He's reciting. Even YouTube is stuck. Anyhow. Well, let it go until we have it. So these are the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, many verses in the Quran, or the majority of the Quran, is very fluent, very eloquent, and easy for people, Arab native speakers, to understand. But sometimes the structure is a little bit difficult, and some difficult words. So in that case, we go to the interpretation of Prophet Muhammad. He interpreted, some, and other scholars who explain to us. Okay, this is the Quran. After you believe in the books of Allah, you should believe as a Muslim in the last day, the resurrection. So after our death, we will be resurrected. Most likely I'm going to comment on it in this Friday. I'm going to talk about it. And we have examples. What is the connection? Now when Allah sent, down the rain, the grass come out, and also trees will have, leaves, right? Allah always connects this in the Quran to the resurrection. Like you will be resurrected, like these things in your life. So I'm going most likely to talk about this. If you are familiar with the topic, if you come, so every human being will be resurrected, and everyone will be held accountable for his deeds. If you obey Allah and His Messenger and you are fine, you will be rewarded forever in heavens or paradise. And if you did not believe in those, you will be punished forever in the hellfire. This is, the belief of a Muslim. Now, what is the benefit of that? You have the option first, number one. You want to be punished or you want to be rewarded. So it's up to you. This is the recitation. So it is different from my recitation, if you notice. Let me, make it clear a little bit. Very slow. So different styles. Stopped. Do you have an idea? You can do it at home, not a problem. So it will give you, a kind of observation in this life, not to do anything wrong. And many people and real Muslims and real believers, they don't commit mistakes in this life, not because he is scared of the police, not because he is scared of his parents or the culture or his people, because he is afraid of Allah. He will be held accountable. So many stories, many occasions, in our life, that, I'm not going to do that, not because of you. I can hurt you, I can take revenge, but I want my reward in the hereafter, and I don't want to be punished in the hereafter. That's okay? Now, what is strange, if you commit a mistake, if you are a believer, you believed in Allah and His Messenger, Muhammad, and if you commit a mistake against Allah, or you disobeyed Him, like you missed a prayer or something, most likely and for sure you will be forgiven at the Day of Judgment. It's okay? Because it is the right of Allah. But if you commit a mistake against another person, you will never pass unless that person, forgives you. Something strange, right? So no one will pass unless someone, forgives him. Now, what about if some people have a grudge and they don't want? Allah will negotiate that with them, and He will tell them, listen, I'm going to give you like a reward that much and that much. Will you forgive him? No. I'll give you extra. Until people will be satisfied. But no one will enter Jannah unless he has no mistake against people. And a lot of people, like, the third caliph after Prophet Muhammad, Uthman, he was killed. And people, his, soldiers and people came around him to protect him. And he said, no, I don't want to carry the blood of anybody. Let them, kill me, and I'll take my reward from Allah. I don't want, and this is the story of the two sons of Adam, you know them? They are mentioned in the Bible. That he could kill his brother, but he did not. They said, I fear, they are mentioned in the Quran, that I fear Allah. The Day of Judgment, you will carry my sin and your sin because you killed me. So I don't, So a lot of people like, and Islamically, when it is, everything is messed up at the end of the time and people are killing one another without, a reason or something, and someone wants to kill you, you can defend yourself. You close your house. If someone to break, in, you have the right. In all culture, not just in Islam, to defend yourself. But if you just submit yourself to Allah, and if you want a reward, a full reward, just let people, kill you, and it is their sin, it is not your sin. You will go, clear of sins, at the Day of Judgment. So you have the option to defend yourself. Like in this life, someone, took your money. Can you go to the court? Of course you can, defend yourself and go to the court. But if you want the reward of the hereafter, it will be multiplied for you. So many people, they say, I forget, that person. And I know someone, a friend of mine in Jordan, he was attacked, and he was, by, a drunk person who broke in, his store, and he took money and he stabbed him and these things. And later on, they say, are you going, to file a case? He said, no, I'm not going to file a case. I leave it, to Allah. He left him. After some years, that person, the criminal, he died. And some people came to him and they say, are you happy now because he's, dead and these things? He said, no, I feel sorry. And I am going to his family to offer my condolences. I'm not, where, he's a friend of mine. He has, in Jordan, like a small store in the marketplace. So some people, they don't want, the reward in this life, and they, want the hereafter. And it happens, in history. So this is the last day when everyone will stand before Allah, will held accountable. Either you will be punished or you will be rewarded. 6, the divine or the decree or the predestined matters or the divine decree or decision of God. For example, there are certain things that are determined by Allah. No one has choice. Again, do you have a choice with your father? Who is your father? You have no choice. For example, the color of your eyes, how tall you are or something. So there are certain things that you have no options. Which hospital or which house you are born at or something. You have no options in these things. Sometimes your father dies on that day or you die on that day. Of course, you will feel sorrow. And you will be very sad if your father, your friend, whatever, dies, who is very close to you. Now, is it your decision to cause him to die? Of course, no. It is the decree of Allah that he dies in that day. Sometimes you are walking and something wrong happens to you. It is the decree of Allah. And many other things, like you get a very nice job, like thousands of people, and many of them are qualified. But God, caused someone, to feel relaxed with you, and He hired you more than other people. So we say, finally, it is the decree of Allah. What God, has decreed earlier for you, you will get it, finally. And we believe that your provision will come to you, and it is your decree. How many kids you will have? Everything, is determined, When are you going to die? Which place you are going to die? How many? All of these, So this is the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the reaction of a Muslim, if something happens, he thanks, God. Thank you. Praise be to you. And thanks. If something bad happens to him, he shows patience. And he says, oh Allah, I accept your decree. I accept your decision. And he will be rewarded for that. And anyhow, you cannot change it, like dying. Like a Prophet Muhammad, he lost his mother when he was a kid. But I accept, to be an orphan because you decided. So this is the decree of God subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the pillars of faith. Equally, the practicing things. If someone, wants to accept Islam, number one, he should testify to say, in Arabic and in English, there is no God but Allah, or I bear witness that no one has the right to be worshipped, or there is no God to be worshipped except Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his slave and his messenger. Slave and messenger. So he's not divine, doesn't have, something special except being the messenger of God. After that, you should start, praying, offering your prayer every day. Each one will take, like 10 minutes, 7 minutes, except a Friday, half an hour. And if there are 3 Muslims or 2 or something, they are exempted from it. So it is just for the congregation, this Friday stuff. And obligatory on men, not on women. However, if women, a woman want to come, they are very welcome. Charity or zakah, this is the 3rd pillar of Islam. If you are rich and you have extra money that you are making business with or you are saving, you have to give percentage for poor every year. So it is not the personal use, no tax of property, property taxes and these things used. We're talking about extra stuff or extra merchandise or business. And every Muslim has to make it. Unfortunately, they don't apply it in many Arab countries, any Muslim countries. We have many very rich people and very poor people, but they put like property tax on everyone. So the poor and they say this is the justice. No, the justice that those who have extra money, they pay. And if someone has extra money, he pays. Every Muslim should fast during the month of Ramadan, which comes according to the lunar calendar, not the. It is one time a year, either 29 or 30 year. Again, if a woman is pregnant and she cannot make it, or she is feeding her baby and she cannot, exempted, she makes them up later on. This year it will come on July 10th, and it will end in August 7th, almost like that. We follow the lunar calendar. That will come. So Muslim, fast from the morning to the evening. Don't eat, don't drink, don't have sexual relation during that time. In the evening, do whatever you like. Eat and drink, of course, what is allowed Islamically, and you can sleep with your wife. Al-Hajj, every Muslim has to perform Hajj, to go one time to Mecca, if he is able to do it physically and financially. Physically, he is strong body, and financially. So poor people cannot make it, then it's fine. The Hajj. And it is only one time. It is, some rituals. The places where Prophet Ibrahim, offered his, rituals in that place in Mecca, outside actual Mecca, but including, geographically we say Mecca. And it will take around 5 days or 6 days, not that complicated. Okay. Any question just quickly today? We went on the pillars of Islam. What we missed, I guess, this what we missed today. The Sunnah or the practices and the speech of Prophet Muhammad. Maybe next time we'll talk about them. Because we have things that he did, things that he said, and things that he approved. He did not say anything, just he approved them. How? They did it in front of him, just he kept silent. So this is okay also Islamically, you can do it. If it is wrong, the Prophet will say it is wrong. But since he kept silent, it's fine. Yeah, so the Sunnah, the two sources of Muslims now are Quran and Sunnah. No one can bring anything and says, this is Islam. We tell him, where is your evidence? Where is your proof from Quran or Sunnah? So we talk today about the Quran, the Sunnah. Next time, inshallah, we'll talk about them. And I hope everything is clear. If you have a question, I am still here. We are going to offer the last prayer after 25 minutes. So if someone has a question, you are very welcome. And thank you for coming today, and thank you for your patience. You can go swimming now. You can. Can go. Then I'll go on time with you. I like you swimming. Yeah, sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad.